Good morning everyone, and welcome to the very first video of Build a Terminator. I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get here, but I'm finally here. The biggest obstacle for me was just to get myself psyched up to start, because that for me is the biggest hurdle. But I need to get going, because if I leave it for much longer I'm going to have issues mounting up, and I realise I'm very late to the game. Everyone else is way ahead of me, but that doesn't bother me too much, because at the end of the day, and at the end of 2.5 years or so, I'm still going to have the same Terminator model as all these other cool people that are doing it as well. But here's something that I'm going to bet not one other single person that's building the Terminator on YouTube has possession of. No, it's not just a Blu-ray, it's a signed copy of the Terminator, the original film. That's Michael. I don't know how to pronounce his name properly, so I'm not even going to try. But I met him at, I can't remember which Comic Con it was. It was one up in London. He signed my copy of the Terminator Blu-ray, so I will always have that. And obviously that says, come with me if you want to live. I know I'm predictable. I just couldn't think of anything else to ask him to write for me. And he is a very nice man. He sat and told me very long stories, which are interesting to listen to. I felt like I was like a proper interviewer, hearing all these stories. He just talked to me for ages about all the different behind the scenes stuff that was going on, and why he didn't want to do another Aliens film and things like that. A very nice man. And at the end he just said, nice to meet you, and shook my hand. There's my little exclusive for you. But now, it is finally time to begin. I love the way they've worded some of this as well. It's on step 3. It says, the first step on the road to assembly begins. I love that, because it's going to be a very long road. I think we know that. So, let me start on that road. Okay, the very first thing I have to say, before I start everything, is 2 complaints. Number 1 complaint is this packaging. I guess it's great for transport of all the little parts, because they're not going to be bashed around at all. But this plastic is so strong that you can't tear it open, and that means you need to hack into it with scissors, because the casing is so thick, which means that if you then lose a little bit of patience, which I'm sure a lot of people will, and you pull, these tiny little parts have the potential to come flying out and ending up God knows where. Which I think was a big problem that some people had with the R2-D2 parts, but those were very accessible. These are definitely not accessible. You really have to hack your way into this pack, and this is going to be the case for all the packs, by the looks of things. That's a bit of a downer, and the other downer is the very fact that we're starting with the eyes, the most iconic thing about the whole model. And my problem with that is, we've all been waiting about 2 years for this to happen. We know what we're building, we know what we're getting, we know what the deal is, so why would you start with something like the eyes, which you're going to need to have sitting around keeping those safe for about 2 years? Ideally, I'd like to start with the feet and then work up from there. What's wrong with that? Because, like I say, we know where we're going, we know what we signed up to, and we're all going to be committed to this. So why not start with the feet, work up, and then finish off putting the eyes in, or the head on, or whatever. That makes perfect sense to me. Surely I'm not the only one that thinks this way. All of that aside, let's make a start. Okay, it's way past the point I think I can aim to do this as any kind of a guide for anybody. So I'm basically going to do it as just a record for myself, and also hope that you will enjoy watching me build this as I go along. So, the very first thing is to stick the little red LED menacing eye into place. Now, I was worried because the picture does not make it at all clear whether you need to push this in from the back or from the front, but I've just had a little look and it's impossible to push it in from the back because it's too big. So you need to push these in from the front until they cannot be pushed in anymore, and I think that's as far as it will go. It's got a tiny little bit protruding around the edge. I love their wording as well for this. It says, push one of the red eye caps into one of the orbits. No. The bit before that. Embedding the red eye caps into the chrome-plated ocular orbits. That's a mouthful and a half, isn't it? I hope I'm not going to push this in too far and do something really bad. That seems to be as far as it will go, with a little 0.5 millimeter bit protruding. Now, I know that Mr. Chris will kindly help me out and advise me if there should be anything protruding over the edge. Anything of the red part protruding. That's as far as it will go for me. If you are watching, do please let me know, Chris. I would be very grateful as always. And I need to do the same with the other part. That seems to be as far as it will go. And hopefully you can still hear me, even though I'm underneath my microphone. My new microphone, that is, which I'm very happy with, but I'm still getting used to how loud I need to speak, because often I'm not actually facing the microphone directly. Oh my god, that's the first bit, people. I've completed the very first stage of my Terminator. Doesn't that look scary? Yeah, you know you're frightened. Look at those eyes they're looking at you. Look, they can see you. Imagine if he could do that in a film. Imagine that. That would be extra scary. Anyway, let's see what's next. Okay, having read the second part, I no longer need your confirmation, thank you, Chris, but confirm it all the same if you want to. I don't mind. But the photo clearly shows there is a little bit protruding over the edge of the ocular orbit. I love that term. Okay, this is getting so specific now already. On the step 5, on the second thing that you have to do, it says you need to have your eyepiece so that it's 2 pins down and 1 up. Those are the 2 pins down, and that's the 1 up. And use that as a guide. I'm not quite sure why. It's not actually fitting in there. That's a bit of a concern. Okay, I'm going to take a little break and see where I'm going wrong. Okay, well, I think I've done it right. This one is sticking out a lot worse than the other one, unless they both need to go up the same way. Maybe they do. I don't know. There's quite a lot sticking out of that one. I managed to ram this one in quite well, hopefully not too far, but obviously you don't want them to come out again, ever. And that will be your lit up, scary eye. It's already looking quite creepy because you can see the light passing through. Doesn't look much at the moment, does it? But this is of course the basis for everything. Step 8, still in single figures. You basically need to put these eyeballs in this way up. I say you, possibly no one is using this as a guide, but I'll probably flip between you and I with the back pin pointing up, as I've seen in the photos, so that your eyeball swivels. Then you need to very awkwardly bolt those into place with this eye brace. They call it a brace. They don't call it an eye brace. And bolt them into place with that. And I must say, it's already quite fiddly. We've got to get 2 of these tiny weeny little screws into the back of that. There's 3 of those. I'm not sure where the 3rd one goes yet, but I'll find out if it goes anywhere at all. So let me get this done. Okay, let's not pretend that was easy, because it was not easy. You had one side in and that was fine, but then you had to get the eye socket brace. I think they call it that. Yes, the eye socket brace. You had one in and that was fine. You could hold that still, but then you had to get this over it, and you couldn't get over it because you were holding it, so you had to stop holding it, and it fell out again, and same deal with the other side. But eventually I got it in. My God, if this is a sign of the rest of the build, this one's going to be a struggle. But we don't want it to be easy, do we? No, we want a challenge. We want it to be hard. That's my cross-eyed, not very scary Terminator so far. Imagine if you stripped down a real Terminator and you found that underneath. You'd be laughing, wouldn't you? You wouldn't be running away. That's those in place. One's really wobbly, one is not very wobbly. And that's a slight concern already. I'm going to try and screw those down a bit more, I guess. And there's no place for the third screw, so that appears to be complete. There's nothing going in there, is there? Probably, but who knows when. Anyway, that is the end of the Monumental Part 1. That being said, let's see what's in Part 2. Okay, in Part 2 we are fitting what we've just made into the upper jaw. As you can see, I have already put the teeth in, but I haven't glued them yet. Okay, I'm going to take these out and hope I can remember where exactly they go, because it's quite important. Yes, I had to do that because I was doing my little minor jaw modification, so I had to line everything up. This appears to be the only plastic bit that you get. I know the big boast was that this model was all metal. This is not metal. It's also obvious once you realise what they're talking about. These three pieces, 3 holes at the bottom, need to match up with those 3 holes on the edge there. You just plonk it in the top. Doesn't that look just like the Terminator? It's really taking shape now. I can see everything coming together. I'm lying. Okay, right here it's going through the difference between the PB and the KB screws. The more it tries to tell me to make it clearer, the less it seems clear. So anyway, I'm going to screw this into place once and for all, except not like that. Like that. Of course. It's so easy. Alright, it's together now. 2 through the bottom there and 2 at the side. 1 there and 1 there. So that's the rest of the head done. And now it's one of the other iconic pieces. It's all the teeth. Let me go and glue these in. Okay, teeth are in. And I like it. I got a little bit of glue. I put a bit too much glue on the front ones, but I'm not overly concerned because when I first subscribed, or when I first got the parts rather, I was thinking to myself, I want everything kept totally pristine and no smudges or scratches or anything. But now I'm thinking, you know, these Terminators, they've seen a lot of action, so they're not going to be perfect and pristine. I don't know if you can see the little bit of rough texture on the front teeth, so it's not perfect, but that's okay. But as for weathering, do you know what? I can't be bothered. And to me, I was looking at the colour tonight and they are very off colour. They're not gleaming white teeth like some kind of shiny ultra white Americanized teeth. No, they're faded and quite manky looking already, so I'm not going to weather those. Besides, I'm not very good at weathering, and that's another part, but I reckon they look okay. Probably a bit better with the rest of the skull over the top, but for now that's all there is to do on the face. So next we're moving on to the right arm. Okay, next up we're putting this onto that. That's it. Need to screw those 2 holes, I believe. Yes. Plastic again, but you have to say that does look very metal. Okay, that is it. And this, combined with the head, takes us to the end of part 2. That looks quite cool. I don't know what it is, or where it goes, or what it does. Parts 1 and 2 of a very long journey. So thank you very much for watching. I'm going to play a game of something now and unwind, because I don't know why, but this is really drained me and taken it out of me. I guess it was just starting it all off, getting over the biggest hurdle, which is the first part. And there he is so far, looking unique. It's all going to come together quite soon though, I think. That being said, hope you enjoyed my slightly tired sounding video. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.